What's up, my know-it-alls? It's time for something different. The know-it-all news is back, and of course, I brought my muscle with me. She takes care of my light work over here, Mrs. Know-it-all. But we're gonna cover some things happening in the world of entertainment. I woke up this morning, there was a whole lot of news to tell, and I realized, you know what? Only two people can bring it to you guys like we do, and that is us, Mr. and Mrs. Know-it-all. So stick around, don't go anywhere. But before that, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share, please. It helps us grow in the algorithms and let everybody know that you want to be part of the Know-it-all Nation. We recently hit the 2,500 subscriber mark, and we're on our way, man. So I'm loving each and every one of y'all. Let's get into this. This just in from the universe of muscular champions and evil skull-faced adversaries. The realms of Eternia are stirring once again as a fresh clip from Netflix's upcoming sensation He-Man, Masters of the Universe Revolution, lands in our laps. A gift from the gods of animation, and no, don't let your minds play tricks on you. This isn't a deja vu from the previous saga, He-Man Masters of the Universe Revelation, brought to us by the illustrious Kevin Smith, well, a while back. Yeah. This time around, it's He-Man crossing swords with Scareglow in a face-off that's bound to be etched in the annals of animated showdowns. And we got this tantalizing tidbit from none other than the Drop 01 showcase where He-Man emerged amidst a legion of Netflix animation titans. Now, here's where things get spicier than a pot of Eternian chili. Masters of the Universe Revolution, set to grace our screens in 2024, exclusively on Netflix, isn't just a rehash of the old skirmishes. Oh no, it's a standalone spectacle. Albeit with a loose tether to the events of MOTU Revelation, the war drums beat anew in the age-old feud between He-Man and Skeletor, but with a brand new adversary in Hordak. All of this promises clashes of magnitude that we've not seen before, and who's that donning the illustrious sword of power? It's Chris Wood lending his vocal cords to He-Man. He came back again, leading a cast that's brimming with star power. So mark your calendars as the battle for Eternia is about to get a fresh coat of animated awesomeness with each swing of the sword, and every sinister scheme hatched by Skeletor or Hordak. We're in for a ride that's as thrilling as a dragon chase through the skies of Eternia. So, what did you think of? You saw me watch the original one?
I watched a couple with you.
I know there was all that big hullabaloo. People were like, "Oh, they're gonna turn into a woke fest and this and that," which wasn't at all the case.
It wasn't.
I really liked what they did. I really did.
It did remind me, like, my brother was really big into He-Man, and it reminded me literally of when he watched the cartoons.
Oh my gosh,
it really did. So I was like, okay. So the times that I did like plop down next to you and watch them, I kind of felt like I was, yay big again.
No, totally. No, and I liked everything they did. I thought the stories they brought were really exciting and very interesting. It did at first feel like, what's going on? What are you guys doing? But then by the end of it, I genuinely saw He-Man in it.
Yes.
I liked it.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem.
It's exciting that they're coming out with it. I didn't think they were. Right. I mean, I really didn't think they were going to do it.
So there you go. Now you know. And if knowing's half the battle, you're halfway to being a know-it-all yourself. Hopefully, you're going to be the one watching there with me as well. So do me a big favor, like and comment. Comment below. Tell us, are you excited for the Masters of the Universe show that's coming out? I know I am, especially with some of the casting choices, which I will be more than happy to tell you guys all about soon, coming up in future know-it-all news. Well, it seems like the Marvel television universe is having its moment of reckoning. According to a scoop from The Hollywood Reporter, the latest saga unfolds around the halted productions of Daredevil, Born Again. This morning, social media was awash with, amid the writer's strike they talked about, with only less than half of the 18-episode series in the can, Marvel execs, Kevin Feige included, decided that the show was veering off course. By late September, a creative overhaul needed to happen, and they saw head writers Chris Ord and Matt Corman, along with directors for the remaining episodes, bid adieu. Now the studio's on a quest for, that's awesome. Now the studio's on a quest for fresh creative minds to steer the Daredevil ship back on track. With Charlie Cox reprising his role as the sightless lawyer come superhero Matt Murdock, this narrative hiccup is part of a larger drama playing out in the Marvel television division. From the inception of WandaVision in 2021, Marvel has churned out over 50 hours hours of TV programming, departing from traditional TV making models. Now, as someone who's come from television, they basically skipped the pilot phase. They relied heavily on post-production to iron out wrinkles, and substituted showrunners with film execs, an exercise that has absolutely never once played well in Hollywood. Although this approach brought some of Marvel's series to the coveted Disney Plus most watched list, it also stirred a cauldron of creative challenges, prompting a rethink in the studio's strategy. Marvel's now embracing traditional TV development with showrunners leading projects to ensure a consistent narrative vision. The shift is evident in the upcoming series like Echo and Wonder Man, indicating a move towards more nuanced, serialized storytelling as Marvel TV adapts to the unique narrative landscape of television. It aims to foster a deeper audience connection with its characters over multiple seasons. It's a pivotal moment as Marvel TV looks to strike a chord between its cinematic storytelling heritage and the rich narrative potential of serialized television. And with this new dawn, fans are all eyes and ears waiting to delve into more immersive and enduring narratives from their favorite Marvel characters. I don't think anybody is surprised by the fact that we're having these kinds of questions being asked today.
I'm glad they're redoing Daredevil because it sounded like it was not going to be good.
You know, when they leaked, and we didn't talk about it because I don't want to even entertain those things. There was leaks about what the story was going to be, and there's talks about a whole episode. Essentially, they're talking about episodes that are very akin to season 1 of Daredevil from the Netflix series, which is he's not in the costume, he's kind of finding himself, and all this other stuff.
We already know all that.
Correct, I agree.
Why don't they just pick up? They needed to pick up where they left off.
I think
from
so
the
too.
Netflix series. I think that would be
the smarter move.
The smarter move of all of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I think this is a good move for Marvel. They've let us down one too many times.
Agreed. No, I agree.
I mean, they have.
Yeah.
So I liked Daredevil on Netflix.
I agree.
I hope Marvel does it right.
Agreed. No, I agree. And I think it was funny. There was all indications they were going to lean heavier into sort of the Marvel of it all, Marvelism of it all. And by that I mean that he was going to wear the yellow outfit. He was going to be a little more lighthearted. Not so much. Not that we wouldn't get some dark, heavier stories, but the Netflix series definitely leaned into. But that's what
I think we loved about it. Not that it has to be completely dark. It's just that we liked that story format.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely. So, comment below. Let us know your thoughts. I would love to hear what you think of the series itself. So there you go. Now you know. And if knowing's half the battle, you're halfway to being a know-it-all yourself. Let us know, man. I want to have that engagement with you guys and have that conversation. Are you keen on what's coming and what's been happening? If you remember this video, suddenly get to a place where you're like, what? Okay, what's going on? And then the episode to this week start. By the way, I'm not reviewing it. I'm going to talk all about it. If you haven't seen it yet, you're going to get spoiled. I have no intention of finishing this thing, and truthfully, I don't know that I'm hardcore hard pressed to want to watch something from them again. I talked about you remember. Secret Invasion was not my favorite.
No.
It was enough to break me at that time.
I think I watched the first one?
Yeah.
Episode, and I was like, I can't do that.
Yeah, and it was one of those things where it's clear, and now you find all this stuff out that's been going on behind the scenes. It actually makes a lot of sense why people were getting frustrated by it. So would love to hear your thoughts on it. Are you in? Are you out? Are there things you wish they would do? There's a whole lot of people online, scoopers, not scoopers, whatever else, who are trying to sell all kinds of narratives. But more importantly, there's a lot of everyone's trying to purposely piss you off by saying things like, oh, well, this movie that you all love sucked, and why this shit, like, She-Hulk was great. Bro, I'm sorry, She-Hulk was not great.
No.
Now, if you liked it, hey, different strokes for different folks. I'm strictly coming from a storytelling standpoint in that it didn't sell us very much, and just using it as an example, it didn't sell us the law drama, legal drama they talked about, and that's really what I was looking for the most. So same thing with something like Moon Knight. Moon Knight, I know Oscar Isaacs is extraordinarily proud of. I loved Moon Knight.
I loved Moon Knight.
I thought Moon Knight was brilliant.
It was refreshing almost.
It really was. It was a nice palate cleanser, and I was okay with it standing alone.
Absolutely.
I feel like Ms. Marvel was designed to try to attract kids and be to a younger audience, but also like purposely be like, look, we're so much a part of the MCU. And it didn't need to.
It didn't need to be.
It really didn't. And that's one of the things why I think Loki works so well. I know season 2 of Loki's going, and I'm very much about it. Don't forget, tomorrow, we are going to drop a review tomorrow morning. Please, as soon as you watch the series, or tomorrow evening, as soon as you watch the series, come check out the channel. We're going to have a review for you, and I'm really excited about what they're doing in that show. I'm hoping they're going to clean up some of the messes. Don't get bogged down in all the will she, won't she, are they, aren't they, of who is he who remains, or any of that nonsense, or Kang the Conqueror. Who cares? Enjoy each piece as it's coming, and hopefully they're going to start cleaning up a lot of the mess they've been doing. So, all right. As the dust settles on HBO's Game of Thrones, the fantasy genre torch seems to have been passed on to Prime Video's The Wheel of Time, says CBR. Yes, of course. I actually said The Wheel of Time. Now, you might have thought I was going to say something like Lord of the Rings or whatever else, but clearly, Wheel of Time is the show that's currently the standout. So once the epitome of fantasy TV, Game of Thrones' allure dimmed with a less than satisfying ending, paving the way for a new fantasy frontrunner, The Wheel of Time. Based on Robert Jordan's iconic literary series, it has resonated with fans old and new, especially with its season 2. I'm definitely one to tell you. If you don't believe me, check out our reviews right up there at the card of season 2 of how the show was. It was amazing. So season 2, which recently finished airing, unlike Game of Thrones, realistic and dark fantasy tone, The Wheel of Time embraces a vibrant and classic fantasy aesthetic, bringing a visually compelling and lore-rich world to the screen. Game of Thrones undoubtedly left a lasting imprint on the fantasy genre, setting a high bar for complex politics, intense battles, and a touch of magical realism. Yet, as The Wheel of Time garners popularity, it's heralding a return to a more classic vision and style of fantasy, kind of full of bright colors and rich imagery, without compromising on intense plots and character depth. The passion behind The Wheel of Time, led by showrunner Rafe Judkins, is evident in its faithful adaptation and engagement with the fandom, contrasting the apparent loss of zeal by the Game of Thrones creators in its later seasons. Season 2 of The Wheel of Time, despite lesser promotion from Prime Video due to ongoing industry strikes, has proven the show's growing appeal. Its trending status on October 8th, 2023, trailing only behind The Boys spin-off Gen V on Prime Video, reflects its burgeoning fan base with its visual appeal, engagement with the fandom, and strong foundation rooted in beloved sources material. The Wheel of Time is poised to not just fill the void left by Game of Thrones, but to redefine the fantasy genre on TV. And I, for one, am here for it.
I fell in love with it. If you remember, I fell in love with it last season. I'm more in love with it this season, and this is spot on.
Absolutely.
Yes, all of the yeses right now.
And what's funny is where I feel like Game of Thrones also did what Wheel of Time is doing, which is they adapted the books.
Yeah.
So not everything was every single moment. But then there were some that were hardcore every single, like the Red Wedding. Oh. Clearly, that literally felt as if it was lifted right out of the books and dropped onto our TV screens. Similarly, Wheel of Time has done some of the same things in season 2. But overall, I really am enjoying the adaptation part. I'm really enjoying seeing where they're moving. And unlike Game of Thrones, we all know Wheel of Time has an ending, meaning they didn't have to invent one. They know where it's going. You know what I mean? And
that makes sense. And when the last season of
Game of Thrones?
Thank you. Yeah. I keep wanting to say House of the Dragon because that was the most recent.
Totally.
So
yeah.
Game of Thrones.
Got it.
Before that season, the last season came out, you made me watch all of it.
I remember.
And I was one of the few people that liked the ending.
Right.
And I think it was because I never read the books.
Right.
And I had all that fresh knowledge.
Sure.
From what I understand, you all waited quite some time for the last season and was extremely disappointed. Yeah. So while I was, nagging you, when are we getting a second season of Wheel of Time? When are we getting a second season? And now I'm going to bug you about when are we getting the third?
Sure.
Because I am so And you're right, we do know where it's going to end. So
Right.
it's all about how that's going to play out.
And I think that you're going to see, I believe firmly, we're going to see a very strong push when it comes to them. Let's get Wheel of Time season 3 done. Let's get it moving. I believe very much Amazon is going to be like, this didn't cost us $1 billion or more, like Lord of the Rings. Let's go ahead and and everyone loves it. Let's keep moving that. So I don't believe we're going to have a long slump.
And it's funny that you said that because I think Amazon failed with Carnival Row.
Yeah.
Carnival Row was really good.
It really
I really
was.
enjoyed Carnival Row, but it was done so long ago
Yeah.
when we kept getting promised another season, and we never got it. And they keep saying, we're going to get one, but I think it's just, I think it's missed its mark now. I don't think it's going to be as relevant as it was when it first came out. Like how excited I was about Wheel of Time having a second season. I was just as excited, and now that excitement is gone because it's like, oh yeah, that was something that we watched.
Right. I agree. Yeah, absolutely. So there you go. Now you know. And if knowing's half the battle, you're halfway to being a know-it-all yourself. Comment below. Have a conversation with us. We'd love to know. Are you excited for the Wheel of Time, where it went and how it started doing things? Do you agree or disagree that Game of Thrones was worse or better or whatnot? It definitely waned. I think the majority of us agree toward the end because it kind of lost its path, not having those actual George R.R. Martin books to go from. So yeah, man, would love to talk more about it, but let's go on to the next story. Once a jewel in the crown of sci-fi storytelling, the Star Wars franchise now faces a cosmic conundrum as disillusionment seeps through its once devoted fan base. The seismic rift emerged with the sequel trilogy, a venture that left many fans yearning for the lore and allure that originally catapulted Star Wars into a pop culture phenomenon. But the saga of discontent didn't end there. The journey to regain the splendor of galaxies far, far away meandered through the realms of Disney Plus series, each one a dice throw on the galactic craps table. The Mandalorian, with its season 1 and 2, brought a new hope, carving a path reminiscent of the original trilogy's spirit. It was a beacon of storytelling finesse amidst a nebula of narrative discord. Yet, this rekindled hope faced trials with the release of the Book of Boba Fett and The Mandalorian season 3, which, instead of hitting the bullseye on fans' expectations, veered off into the unknown, leaving a trail of questions in their wake. The winds of anticipation soared again with the advent of Kenobi, a series promising a rendezvous with the revered Jedi Master. The stellar ratings initially seemed to signal a return to form, but the subsequent nosedive left fans and critics alike pondering the trajectory of the Star Wars narrative arc. Just when the cosmos seemed gloomy, Ahsoka sailed in with a premise that blended the familiar with the fresh. Yet, despite its novel approach, the series found itself in the eye of the storm of fans' discontent. Unable to fully reignite the passion that once bound the Star Wars community together, now, as the galaxy trembles under the weight of expectations, the question lingers like a specter in the void. What has led to this growing chasm between the Star Wars realm and its loyal fan base? Is it the deviation from the original lore, a desire from fresher narratives, or perhaps a yearning for a perfect blend of both? The narrative hyperspace seems to be in a state of flux, with every new release scrutinized under the lens of a legacy that spans over 4 decades. Finding the essence that captivates the hearts anew while honoring the age-old lore is the challenge that beholds the creators of Star Wars. It's a quest for a narrative equilibrium that echoes the essence of the Force itself, balancing the legacy of the past with the promise of the future. So I myself have been asking the same question because while there were elements, if you remember, that when we first started watching Ahsoka that I did think were a little bit off in the very beginning, there are other things that I don't agree with. Like I watched, if you watch Fat Man Beyond with Kevin Smith and Mark Bernardin, they were, and don't get me wrong, I understand Mark Bernardin beats everything up. But the truth is, one of the things he said that really, we found ourselves yelling at this, we were watching on YouTube, like everybody else on our TV. But we were yelling at the screen like, what are you talking about? Because he's like, well, apparently I had to know who all these characters were and everything else. As someone,
I promise you.
There you go. As someone who literally knows nothing about Rebels or Clone Wars, the show's animated series, what did you think of Ahsoka?
I think it was fine. For example, on Facebook, a friend from we're talking, we've been friends since we were little in Chicago. And I saw one of her posts that says, if you don't know Ahsoka, you don't know Ahsoka. She was just, that that was a very positive
Sure.
thing for her to say, because she was just as excited about it as I was.
Wow.
And I know nothing, and I know she did.
Right.
So it's one of those things. It's like I didn't need that. I'll repeat myself. Yes, you being there to help kind of fill in some of the gaps was great, but I still wouldn't have needed it. I thought Ahsoka is exactly what me as a Gen X, grown Star Wars fan. I might not know everything about it because obviously I didn't know much about Ahsoka.
Right.
But it's still, that's me. That's my Star Wars, you know?
Sure.
I felt like I'm watching Star Wars again.
Yeah, I agree. And if anything, it was telling us a new story. And I think that's the problem is too many times the fan base has to figure out, hey, find your lane, people. Either all you want is the Skywalker saga again and again and again, continued forever ad nauseum, where the universe feels very small, or we get new characters. You get Ahsoka Tano, you get this whole new group of people, and you're introduced to new characters and you get to see things happen. I mean, we're never going to be able to get Han Solo again, but maybe we can get, we can get General. Stop it. We can get General O'Hara. We can get find all these new characters, and I think that's that's what you want from a thriving universe.
Thank you. That from a thriving universe, you want these. This is a huge galaxy that's far, far away.
Right.
There's so much going on.
Agreed.
Did I love Kenobi? No, but I liked it enough to watch it,
Sure.
and it was interesting, and I had fun with it because I liked seeing Leia grow up.
Yeah.
Or where she kind of came from.
Right.
I've liked The Mandalorian. I've always have. Book of Boba Fett, I kind of went back and forth, but I had to remember that this was a book about Boba Fett. So the things that happened with The Mandalorian and everything, all those little anecdotes, was part of this book.
Sure.
It just because an episode was about Mando doesn't mean it wasn't part of the book of Boba Fett.
Agreed.
So
yeah, I agree with that 100%.
I don't know if maybe Star Wars fans are becoming a little too hard on ourselves.
I'm sure.
But part of me also now wonders, Disney Plus owns Star Wars. Disney Plus owns Marvel. With that shakeup with Marvel, I'm wondering if somewhere they're going to start. I mean that all those crossover at the bottom line is Disney owns those, and they have to figure out. I don't know. I mean, but you're right. I think us as Star Wars fans need to figure out what we want to.
Yeah, for sure. Well, listen, there you go. Now you know. And if knowing's half the battle, you're halfway to being a know-it-all yourself. Comment below. Let us know your thoughts. Did Ahsoka, did it disappoint you? Did it not disappoint you? Was it everything you wanted it to be? Whatever the situation is, comment. We'd love to hear more. And let's have an actually productive conversation. Not just one where it's like, no, it sucked. It's never going to be this or that. Why?
There you go.
Tell me why.
Tell us why.
I'm down for having an actual conversation, but also understand that, know what you're asking for. If you're just going to be upset and angry, then no one really needs to hear. It's okay. You can be upset and angry. But if you want to be constructive and have a conversation, I'm down. All right, guys. We'll talk to you very, very soon. I appreciate you being with us for the Know It All news today. Never forget.
Everyone loves a know-it-all.
All right, guys. Bye.